So today I'm here at Bear Island and I'm going to show you how to disassemble and reassemble a Trecoder paint gun. This paint gun is the tool that foresters use to mark trees to be cut. This one has been with me for 10 years and I've probably replaced every single part of it, most of them on the tailgate of my pickup truck. Trecoder is by far the most common brand of paint gun that foresters use around here. The other popular kind is Nelson. I've always just used a Trecoder though. So I'm going to show you how to do this on a tailgate, which is usually how this is done in the field. And you really should only need two tools. So you need a flathead screwdriver, and then I like to use a pair of vice grips or pliers. If you don't want to get paint all over your tailgate, put something down, a piece of cardboard, whatever. If it doesn't feel like your paint gun is pulling paint well, there's a little screen right here. It gets all gunked up with paint and stuff. And so the first thing to do is just take a stick even in the woods or take this screwdriver and clean it off. The next thing that you want to do is pull this whole bottom piece off. Now in here is a little spring and a ball bearing, and you can just fish them out with a stick. So here's that little spring. And here's that bearing. What I've also seen happen is that this spring and this ball bearing will get all gunked up with paint, and then the paint gun won't pull correctly. If that doesn't fix it, you put the ball bearing back, then the spring, screw this back on. Then the next thing that we're gonna do is open the paint gun up. So we have this plastic cover that has all these flathead screws. We're gonna unscrew all of those and see what's underneath. This is something that you'll definitely wanna do over some kind of a surface because you'll see these little nuts and screws will just fall out. All of these screws are the same length except for these ones, which are a little bit longer. So once you pull the cover off, you're going to see this cylinder, and inside this cylinder is a little piston that you pull with the trigger of the paint gun, and it pulls paint up here from the bottom up towards the nozzle of the paint gun. This just unscrews, it's threaded. This is another place where you might find a clog, where this stem connects into the cylinder. Now the main thing that you need these vice grips for is to open up this cylinder. So the cylinder is threaded from the top and you can just unscrew it like this. Just a simple little piston with a big spring on it, and there are gaskets on the bottom of the piston, on the top of the piston, and actually inside where this piston goes through the top of the cylinder. I've seen these springs get compressed, so sometimes if you feel like your paint gun doesn't have a lot of power, it can help to replace this spring. I've also replaced these gaskets multiple times, especially if the paint gun's leaking. When you want to replace it, just put it back in there and just thread it back on. The last place you could get into trouble is here in the nozzle. So sometimes if the paint gun is shooting out crooked, or if it's not shooting out a good stream of paint, you might just have a clog here in the nozzle. Sometimes when that happens to me, I flip it around, thread it in the other way, shoot it a couple times, and that discharges what's ever been blocking it, and then I can turn it back around, thread it back the original way, and it shoots just fine. The other thing you can do with these, if they're really clogged, is just soak them in paint thinner. After a night or so, it should be totally cleared up. The last place to look is in this stem that goes from the cylinder to the end of the nozzle. And you can just unscrew it like that. See if there's a clog. Actually, here where the cylinder feeds into this part, there's another ball bearing and another spring. They're exactly the same as the ones at the very bottom of that down stem, and those might get clogged as well. So when it's time to put the whole thing back together, screw on this nozzle, put the trigger on, reinstall the down stem. You're not going to believe this, but when I was doing that, I lost one of the screws. And so luckily, when you get one of these paint guns, they give you this little parts kit. And this part kit has extra gaskets, extra springs, ball bearings, screws, everything you need, because invariably you're going to need to replace one of these things or one of them is going to get lost. So there we have it. Good as new. Let's try her out.